Hello, and welcome to Appleton Engaged. I'm your host, Timber Smith, DEI coordinator for the city of Appleton.
And I'm Andy Anam, the communications manager for the city of Appleton.
And Appleton Engaged is a podcast that explores the many people, organizations, and resources that make our community a great place to live, work, and play. So whether you're a longtime resident or just getting to know Appleton, join us as we learn more about our community together.
Absolutely. And we get great community leaders and change makers. And I'm excited to learn more about another change maker in the community. So introduce our amazing guest to the listeners.
Okay, this week's amazing guest, I like that you said that, Andy, because it's the truth. This week's amazing guest is Becky Bartoszek. Becky is the president and CEO of the Fox Cities Chamber. How are you doing, Becky?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today.
Hey, we're super excited about this. Becky, can you please tell us about yourself and your association with Appleton and the surrounding Fox Cities region?
Sure, absolutely. I have actually been in the Fox Cities since 1998. I was originally born and raised in the UP of Michigan and ended up being transferred down here for work. Believe it or not, I worked for a cell phone company that used to be known as Altel. So
Ooh, I remember Altel.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So I worked for them for about 15 years, and I actually live in Freedom, Wisconsin, and have been there for since 2001. So I've been here for quite a while, and I've been with the Chamber of Commerce for 5 years in October.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Can you please tell us about the chamber?
Sure. The Fox Cities Chamber actually serves the 2.5 counties around Appleton. So all of Outagamie County, all of Calumet County, and northern Winnebago. So Neenah, Menasha, Fox Crossing areas. The chamber itself, believe it or not, next year will be 150 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking, isn't it?
That I wouldn't have guessed that. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't underestimate us as humans that we would have been as thoughtful enough to have something like a chamber 150 years ago.
Yeah, think about it. Neenah is celebrating their 150th anniversary this year. Next year, the Chamber of Commerce will celebrate ours.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But really, our mission today isn't much different than it was 150 years ago. It was a group of business people that came together with the 9th mayor of Appleton and said, what could we do as a business community to create a better environment for business to thrive, and most importantly, make a better environment for people to want to come and live in the Fox Cities. And that's how it all started.
Wow. That's pretty good.
It's a pretty exciting place to work when you look at the organization that you work for. Yeah, we just lived through COVID, but this organization has lived through wars and depressions and all kinds of things. So quite a history there.
So who do you primarily serve, and what kind of signature events Chambers does in the area?
Well, if you think about the chamber, we serve everybody in the Fox Cities, because if you're employed or if you have any source of income that helps for you to exist, we're usually touching your employer in some way, shape, or form. You know, we're trying to create an environment where businesses can thrive. So from a business perspective, we're helping them do better. From a community perspective, the businesses are coming together to help give back to our community, as well as creating opportunities for all of us as employees to have better paying jobs and a better work environment in general.
What does that does make it curious. What does that relationship with like the private sector business usually look like?
Well, we do a little bit of everything. As you can imagine, we hold a lot of events. Our largest event is coming up. License to Cruise is our second largest, and we also own Appleton's Oktoberfest as our largest events. So we bring the community together on a regular basis. On top of that, we also do advocacy for the business community. During COVID, for example, in the state of Wisconsin, they considered taxing payroll protection for our smaller businesses. And that's where we were down in Madison going, no, this can't happen. This wasn't created for that. So a lot of times we're putting out fires before they ever become fires. And then on top of that, we also drive economic development. We're the largest economic development organization serving this footprint. And essentially, we're out trying to attract more businesses to this area that complement our current businesses. So really focused on supply chain, as well as we have a huge focus on keeping our best and brightest talent here. We work a lot with the school districts, as well as we go out to other campuses in even surrounding states and explain all the reasons why people would want to move here and make this their home.
Yes. I definitely have taken notice it seems like there's definitely recognitions that the chamber is part of to make sure that our talent, particularly our younger talent, understands that their value in the community. I believe there's a leadership initiative to help connect our talent to the community and help them do networking to learn about the resources that are around here and also to develop them as leaders within the community. That seems really powerful.
It is. And we really start with our youth in 8th grade at the Chamber, believe it or not.
Wow.
We hold a huge career expo that's held over at the Expo Center every year, usually April, March timeframe. And we bring in over 3,000 students from 17 different school districts. And we bring them in, if you can imagine them coming down that escalator, and then they sit down and they hear from a speaker. And this year, it was a speaker that talked to them about soft skills and talked to them about, you're about to walk into this room and talk to a potential employer for the first time in your life. And, what should that look like? And where should your hands be? And what does your eye contact tell those employers? And a little bit of everything. And then they open up those doors and they see information about Gulfstream, and they see a Pierce fire engine, and they learn about all the hospitals. And all of a sudden, starting in 8th grade, they get to see all of the opportunities if they want to stay right here in the Fox Cities and make it their home. And then, as you mentioned, leadership is a unbelievably successful program that we have at the Chamber, and we're actually expanding it this year. So leadership is really a community immersion program. It's been around about 40 years. And
wow.
Still today, we receive almost twice as many applications as we can actually take into the class each year. And this is a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the Fox Cities. So they get tours behind the scenes of the PAC and the Trout, and they get to do ride-alongs with the police here in the area, and just anything you can imagine, they get kind of a glimpse into that people normally don't. And then they create group projects that they work on as teams, and those are a lot of give-backs to our community. And you just create a network that people every single day tell me cannot be replicated anywhere else. We are very blessed to have this successful program we do for leadership development.
So other than this amazing outreach services you continue to provide to the community, share a narrative that will help listeners understand the importance of the resource and the organization.
Well, for example, Oktoberfest is a great example of something that we do, because most people equate that to just a gigantic party, and it is. But there is so much more to it, because it is a gigantic give back. Actually, this year, I had the opportunity to fly to Sioux Falls with the Chamber team and accept an award where Appleton's Oktoberfest actually was named the top community event in the entire Midwest.
Whoa.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's that here.
Yes. And the reason why, when you walk down College Ave during Oktoberfest, what people don't realize, first of all, they estimate, for License to Cruise the car show, they estimate we bring in 100,000 people on Friday night. And on Saturday, they estimate 220,000 people. On top of that, when you walk down College Avenue, every single food vendor that you see has to have a big sign prominently displayed explaining which nonprofit they are sharing their revenues with.
Oh.
So that is just a huge give back to our nonprofits. And then there's a large percentage of all of the beer sales, the profit, actually goes into a grant program where grants are given out from Oktoberfest back into our community, to the police department, to the PAC, to nonprofits everywhere. And it's millions of dollars that have been given back over the past 40 years.
That is something. Wow.
Yeah. I don't think people know
No.
that has that kind of impact. The give back portion, I definitely did not know.
Well, and it's interesting because a couple of years ago, one of the grants went out to the police department to actually get a license plate reader. And it's our understanding that in areas, those license plate readers have actually stopped vehicles or identified vehicles that have open warrants. And there's a story that I've heard about where one of those vehicles was pulled over that it was actually full of illegal weapons in the back.
Oh,
So those are the types of things that when we hear of a need, the Oktoberfest revenues definitely try to help as much as they can.
now that is truly helping the community.
It truly is. It truly is. And hence why we were so honored to receive the big award for the top community impact event in the Midwest this year.
That way, you totally deserve the award. Making such a huge impact, it's not an easy task, but it takes a lot of planning and a lot of thoughts goes into that. But at the end of the day, the impact it's making is major.
So the Oktoberfest itself is driven by, it's actually a partnership with Appleton Downtown Inc. and the Chamber. And it really was where the merchants and the Chamber came together and said, how can we draw attention down to the heart of Appleton? And a volunteer committee still today drives Oktoberfest. But what's important to know, none of this happens without about 800 volunteers from our community. So if you want to have fun, please sign up and volunteer. Last year was the first year that I actually had the chance to be at one of the stands, and it's a lot of fun. As you walk down College Avenue, you see, people of all ages down there. But I even see a lot of CEOs standing next to a beer truck where they're pouring beer nonstop for hours. But it's everybody trying to give back to our community because they understand the mission. But it does take at least 800 volunteers every year to make this happen.
That says so much about our community.
It does. It
To
truly
be
does.
able to pull off 800 volunteers.
So here's what's scary. If you look, when we had to figure out what we were going to do during the time of COVID, obviously Oktoberfest didn't happen at that time. But I did make a phone call to one of our community leaders and said, we're thinking we're probably not going to be able to have it. And he actually called me back and said, if we had to socially distance Oktoberfest, it would go from downtown College Avenue to the border of Minnesota, all of the people that are there. Kind of amazing, huh?
That is.
Yeah.
That is. Well, I mean, 220,000 people is nothing to sneeze at.
Well, 2.5, 3 times Lambeau, right?
Right. Is there any other initiatives? Well, is there any other programming that the Chamber does?
There is something huge that we started last year, and there are very few other organizations across the country that are doing what our Chamber is doing in this area. Our board of directors came together last year and really was trying to figure out a way that we could attract more people to the area. And we know people can get a job anywhere now, right? They look for quality of life first. And we were trying to figure out, how do we make people want the quality of life that we have in the Fox Cities? We know that is driven by small business. Nobody is sitting in Seattle or New York or someplace else saying, I want to find the community with the biggest Best Buy. It's just not happening.
Right.
They want a cool restaurant. They want little boutique shops. They want that downtown experience. So our board of directors actually gave us approval last year to investigate launching a free support model for small businesses. And it took us, we actually fast-tracked this thing as quickly as we could. And we came up with a model where if you're a small business that has less than or 5 or less full-time employees or equivalent, if you're a nonprofit that has 10 or less full-time employees or equivalent, or if you're a freestanding restaurant, and by freestanding I mean you can't be a small restaurant in a big casino and get a free membership. But if you're truly a small employer that needs help, we are going to wrap our arms around you and help you get to that next level. So we launched this program that's called Connect Free. And it's one of its only, there's really nothing else like it that I've seen across the country. And it's all of these free support services. We even partner with Grow with Google for resources. We're supporting with Fox Valley Technical College. SBDC, which is part of the UW system, as well as SCORE, which is a group of retired entrepreneurs. And we're offering completely free support and consulting for all of these small businesses. And you do not, and like I said, you can get a membership completely free of charge. Now, I can tell you, we actually launched this on August 29th of last year. And a month later, I was asked to present it at the state level as a best practice to watch. And the following month, I was asked to go to Washington, D.C. and present it as a national best practice to watch. Yeah. And since August 29th of 2022 to this year, on the anniversary date, we had signed up 428 small businesses that are now receiving all of this support for free. And it's really just our community coming around them and saying, we know this is a time where you need the most help. How can we get you there?
428, that's insane.
Yep, well, we think so. It's been very, very busy the past year trying to do everything that we've done, just even bringing them on. But we are finding that it is just so amazing to be able to help these entrepreneurs. You think about it, when you first start a business, or if you're thinking about starting a business, a lot of times you have to decide if you're going to, bring home any money for your own family. If you've got to pay someone else, or obviously there's bills to be paid when you start something like this. And to be able to give consulting to these people and give advice and resources, it's a fantastic thing for us to be able to do, and it's just thriving right now, and it's fun to watch. And I can tell you, at the national and international level, we are a documented case study that they are watching right now.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, and knock on wood, it's going very well.
We can totally get a sense of that. It's going pretty well. And there's so much to know. We didn't know. We just think it's those big events we see.
Sure.
But there's so much going on behind the scenes, and those outreaches on the connections being made. I think that's incredible.
So here's a scary number for you, just to have you guess. How many events a year do you think the chamber usually puts on?
I'm going to guess, and this is only because I do watch. There's at least, I'm thinking, 2 a month, but I'm going to guess it's probably around 50.
It's actually closer to 70 a year.
Wow.
70 a year. So there's a ton of ways to get involved. And it doesn't have to be a big expense to make it happen. I mean, we are truly a mission-based nonprofit organization that truly exists just to give back to the community and help it thrive.
Well, I always pay attention to the networking events because I do think that that's a super powerful thing. You can never underestimate the positive outcomes that come from networking and meeting people that you didn't know before.
Absolutely. Sense of belonging is so important. And, people are fighting to get our talent. The work ethic here in the Midwest, especially in Wisconsin, is known across this country. And if we don't have people feeling like they belong here, then we are not going to be able to keep these people. And the only thing that's holding us back right now as a region is that we need more people. For every job seeker, there's at least 2 jobs, usually 3 jobs that are available at any given time. So it's really key that we as a community make every single person want to be here. And there's ways to do it, but a sense of belonging is the foundation of the success of our entire community.
Which brings me to another question I got, because I feel like, is there another program that deals with welcoming talent into the community?
Well, we're launching a program that started. There's multiple. So we do have Pulse Young Professionals Network. That has actually grown drastically in the past year as well. We have a full-time person that is helping with that. And she not only works with the young professionals, helping them create a network, but she also works with interns when they come into the area, that we help them feel like they are creating a network. We also have been working and launching a new program that's called Engage. And that is when new people come into the area, we're going to be helping them create a network and find the resources that they need to make the Fox Cities home. We know that if a trailing spouse comes here, when their spouse takes a job, if they are not happy in 2 to 3 years, nobody's going to be here. That's what happens. The whole family leaves. So we know it's really about integrating the entire family into the community to make that a successful marriage.
Well, sounds like Engage should talk to Appleton Engaged, and maybe
There we go.
here we go. All right.
Who can people contact if they would like to learn more about the organization?
Well, our website is just tremendous. We just did a full rebrand last year and have a new website, and it's foxcitieschamber.com. And there is a link to we've just added an additional portion. The regional partnership is actually the economic development arm of the Fox Cities Chamber. And that is actually a public-private partnership. So all the municipalities contribute to that. All of the private businesses contribute to that. And it really helps drive economic development. So if you go to that website, which you can get to through the Chamber's website, there is all type of data resources there. So if you want to know more about the community, or if you want to know who's hiring, it's just a robust website full of information, as well as we have job postings that thousands of people are checking out on a regular basis.
What can the community do to be helpful to the chamber?
Well, when we are looking for volunteers for events like Oktoberfest, if you can help us in that way, that's huge. When we're bringing in 3,000 kids at a time, we need your support as well. You know, we have new and creative events that we're doing on a regular basis. So if you can, always check our website and see if there's volunteer opportunities, that would be amazing, because these things we only have a staff of 16 people. And when you're doing events in combination with steering committees, it just takes a tremendous amount of people. But none of these things can happen without our community volunteering.
Okay, so volunteers.
Yes.
You hear that.
All day long.
All right. Appleton Engaged listeners, always need, you can never have enough volunteers, right?
You truly can.
Volunteers is such a huge part of the success of our organizations here in the region.
Absolutely.
Well, it's about that time for shout-outs. Becky, do you have any shout-outs?
I absolutely have shout-outs. As I mentioned, we have a team of 16 people. I can tell you the people that are at the chamber are some of the best people most skilled people that I've ever worked with in my life. A lot of them are there because they absolutely believe in the mission and are trying to give back to our community. So just a huge shout out to the team that makes all of these things happen, and a huge shout out to our board of directors who have the vision to enable us to launch things like our Connect Free model, where we're being able to support all of these small businesses where, it was a leap of faith to be able to do that. And, we're very blessed to have a board of directors that are truly visionary. And on top of it all, as I mentioned before, none of it happens without our volunteers and our members.
Doesn't surprise me that this region is leading the way in innovation.
Me either.
All right. Well, we're going to start wrapping this up. Appleton Engaged listeners, thank you for spending time with us, giving us your minds and ears. We are a work in progress. Please feel free to reach out to us if you would like to if you've got recommendations, if you would like to be a guest, or if you would like to recommend a guest. Please reach out to us at diversity@appleton.org. Once again, that is diversity@appleton.org. And then could you please do us a favor as you listen to episodes of Appleton Engaged and learn more about our amazing resources in the region. Please take time to actually subscribe to the podcast and also leave reviews. It helps to elevate our analytics. We think we have something pretty special here, and we think it would be more and more people in our region would really appreciate this resource for what we're trying to accomplish here. And on that note, we're going to wrap it up. So thank you for spending time with us, and stay engaged.